It's a show time!
Hello honeys, I collected all 122 original series Aikatsu songs and we're going to rank all of them together. This video covers all officially released albums from the original series, the 10th anniversary albums, and Photokatsu. Enjoy! 122 Sweet Sweet Girls Talk. Sweet Sweet Girls Talk is barely a song. It might be one of the most annoying types of talk singing that humans can produce. I'm not sure why the vocals are so discordant, but I know what style this is going for, and it is falling completely flat. 121 Gothic Rockin' Rose. This one is a genre miss more than anything else. I'm not super interested in rock or campy Halloween motifs, so I would never listen to this voluntarily. To my untrained ear, the instruments all sound technically fine though. 120 Enchanted Party. It's a similar situation for Enchanted Party, I just have this one higher because it's a bit lower tempo. I prefer the Mizuki and Kaide version over the Akari and Sumire version, but even then I still lack the proper spooky spirit for it. 119 Ragtime of the Moonlit Night. The sound effect samples at the beginning of Ragtime of the Moonlit Night are so unserious it's crazy. Although the format of this ranking does make me enjoy it more compared to the previous songs, its frantic pace changes make it stressful to listen to. 118 Clockwise Wonderland. Clockwise Wonderland almost had me fooled because the beginning is nice and soothing, but when it picks up the pace it gets so jarring, like the vocals are out of sync with the melody, and it doesn't help that the melody changes sporadically the whole time. 117 Forbidden Hide and Seek. Forbidden Hide and Seek also starts out strong, but then at about the 1 minute mark it gets into this shouting singing style that is neither shouting nor singing, so I think it's mostly the vocal performance that I get hung up on. It seems kind of thin. 116 Dancing Baby. Another fun twinkly intro for Dancing Baby, and a much faster fall off into disjointed instrumentation. The song overall doesn't make much sense to me. It almost sounds classical, but there are so many drop-offs in the production that the melody is very hard to follow. 115 Please Venus. We get more talk singing in Please Venus, and the rapid percussion is still a little overwhelming, but it's at least coherent. The chorus is even kind of nice. The hardcore rock style production is easier to appreciate when the vocals match it a little better. 114 Sentimental Berry. I have the impression that Sentimental Berry is a popular song, but the reason why is clearly lost on me. Part of it might be that the vocals fall on the crisp and clear end of the tone spectrum when I tend to like huskier voices. The high notes sound especially grating to my ear. 113 Shining Days. The intro for Shining Days is a pretty immediate turnoff for me. The rest of the song is probably another vocal miss for me, but relative to everything so far, it's decently easy listening. The heavy percussion is the most disruptive element for sure. 112 Midnight Sky High. Midnight Sky High is nice up until the chorus. The verses are a lot stronger, but I think this is the first drop of classic jazzy Aikatsu production getting in the way of a good time. I would have liked a much catchier chorus and beat drop structure, but then we'd be in a slightly different genre. 111 Tarte Tatin. Tarte Tatin being up this high just goes to show how dire the musical situation has been up until now. It is certainly a song, but I hate the whispery spoken word portions so much, the English parts feel so random. 110 Power Puri Power. I definitely said this in my anniversary album ranking, but I am unfortunately too old to enjoy Power Puri Power. This would probably sound great if I was a small child. As it stands though, the relaxed pace and silly sound effects are not for me. 109 Magic Smile. I feel bad for Magic Smile since it's one of Kaide's few solo tracks. It does sound very in character for her, but it's another victim of jazzy production and feels kind of monotonous without any major tempo swings. 108 Little Beat Little Wing. Little Beat Little Wing is another one that should be at the bottom of my list but isn't somehow. The instrumentation does sound very polished, so I feel a little bad for disliking it so much, but it's an agonizingly slow children's song with a jolly, uncomplicated melody, which is a bad thing for me. 107 Sweetheart Restaurant. There's even more guilt to be had over Sweetheart Restaurant since the retro romantic sound is very well executed. I hope this is on someone's Kiki's Delivery Service Girly Pop Inspo playlist. I don't have one of those, but it would fit well there. 106, Love Riot. Unfortunately, even though I don't like Love Riot that much, I do prefer the more dramatic Latin sound. The pronunciation of riot as riot is still a big hurdle to get over though, since it's such a huge part of the chorus. 105, Self-Navigate. I appreciate that you finally got a solo song, but Self-Navigate feels like a pretty weak addition to the Aikatsu discography. Her vocals are lacking a bit of power for my taste, and the backing track is a bit monotonous, but it's not bad enough to be annoying. 104, Thrilling Matador. Thrilling Matador is the start of my passable tier. Hinaki's vocals, as we will see, are the most hit or miss for me, and I don't think they work very well here. But the song has enough contrast in the production to not be annoyingly slow, and it's not overwhelming either. 103, Starry Sky Floor. I can't tell how controversial this Starry Sky Floor placement is because I barely hear anyone talk about it, but it's kind of slow, right? Fine as background music, but it doesn't have standout vocals or melodies you really want to be paying attention to. 102, Chocolate Showtime. Chocolate Showtime feels kind of random for an Aoi solo, but it's cute, I guess. This is the kind of song I feel like she'd really enjoy as a character, so that's nice. It's also just a little too slow to be enjoyable. 101, Chameleon Talk. Chameleon Talk has the decency to pick up the pace a little bit. The vocals are kind of a mixed bag. I think there are moments where Ichigo and Seira both sound good, and others where they're a little strained. The pop jazz style is an improvement overall. 100, Aikatsu Melody. It's nice to hear a little preview of the Aikatsu Stars cast in Aikatsu Melody. Unfortunately, although the majority of the song is a perfectly fine series theme, the section past the 3-minute mark is almost disturbingly discordant, and then it goes back to normal for the last 45 seconds. 99, Dream Balloon. Dream Balloon gets us into songs I can have a little bit of fun with. The instrumental section midway through is still quite strange with random sounding instruments thrown in, but I do very much enjoy the chorus and bridge. 98, Excitement Antenna. While Excitement Antenna is also a victim of peppy jazz, it doesn't have anything weird going on, and it's not too slow, so it's safe to zone out to. Even though it's not my style, it makes an admirable effort to be a little bit exciting. 97, Powapuri Time. My Powapuri bias gets me through Powapuri Time. And rather than sounding excessively bright and childish, the instrumentation leans a tiny bit more acoustic. Combined with the more varied pacing, it sounds better than their last track on the list. 96, Dream Reception. An Ichigo Mizuki duet is always cute. Admittedly, the melodies aren't working quite right to my ear, but I think the sentimental tone is getting through to make up for it. There's just a little bit of melancholy to it, which I like. 95, Promise Carrot. Promise Carrot is a little more retro and on the slower side, but is probably the electronic sound that makes it more appealing to me. Nono and Lisa have nice vocals, but nothing really stands out. 94, Arabian Romance. As much as I appreciate both the Ichigo Sora and Nono versions of Arabian Romance, Sora's solo version sounds so similar to a lot of songs I grew up listening to. That nostalgia will come up later. For now, I'm happy to say that this song is firmly mid, but not terrible to listen to. 93, Aoi Ichigo. Aoi Ichigo is their wedding song, right? Congratulations to the happy couple if so. The harmonies are very nice, and the production feels appropriately grand and sentimental. I'd even call it pretty. 92, Lovely Bomb. Lovely Bomb isn't as pretty. I think Juri's vocals sound a little strained, but the exciting pacing is more enjoyable for me anyway. The action hero theme could have been cliche, but I don't think it's too over the top here. 91, Original Star. I've picked the full cast version of Original Star over the Ichigo and Akari version since I like hearing all the different voices in this case. I've said this a lot already in other videos, but the lyrics and diet-conscious messaging of the song are both turn-offs for me. I can see why people still like it though. The adult mode. I have the same messaging issue with adult mode. I'm just too old to be comfortable with the secret adult side theme of the song. To be fair, the song itself is a bop, And if you were curious, I have the WM version at the top, then the Mikuru solo, then the Akari and Sumire version. 89. Hey Little Girl. Hey Little Girl is another song I've been hard on in the past, but I stand by my cringe allegations. The retro rock sound is done well, it has a very authentic execution, but the dated lyrics are a little too over the top for me. 88. The Only Fascinating Treasure. I was a little surprised to find such an overtly action-adventure themed song in the Aikatsu discography, but The Only Fascinating Treasure pulls it off pretty well. It sounds like a track from a Lost spin-off movie. 87. We Are Stars. This one is another Aikatsu Stars cast track, and I decided to include it since it's part of the Photokatsu album. We Are Stars is a better showcase of their vocal abilities in my opinion. There are no strange chanting sections to distract from it. 86. After Lovely Party. After Lovely Party has a nice mix of smooth vocals and dynamic pacing, but there are points where it gets a little too high-pitched for me, especially in the harmonies. If I like Luminous's vocal tones more, this song would be higher up for sure. 85. Summer Magic. As it stands though, the nostalgia I have for Summer Magic is stronger. It's on the slower side and a bit less interesting melodically, plus the vocals aren't super appealing to me, but the extra energy boost from the chorus saves it. 84. Star Heart. Star Heart is basically the same situation, although I do like the vocals more. The chorus is the main driving force of the song, while the verses really lag behind it in energy. If it weren't for the gradual build up to the chorus, it would be distractingly boring. 83. Shiners. And again, Shiners just barely escapes being boring for the same reasons. It takes a much longer time to build up to the engaging, overlapping vocal section around 2 minutes in, but that part is really cool, so it's kind of worth it. 82. Smiling Suncatcher. I know that my Smiling Suncatcher ranking is controversial, I just don't like the lyrics that much. The production sounds great on it, and I love the double M vocals, but the chorus does not hit for me. The Akari and Hinaki version would be even lower. 81. Ponytail After School. Ponytail After School may be a silly song, but I think it's restrained enough to fall into a gentler, slightly more elegant concept than the cutesy kid songs we've heard so far. And Otome's performance gives it some much needed personality. 80. Travel Ribbon. Travel Ribbon's main offense is failing to deliver a satisfying chorus. It's so nicely produced, with so much obvious passion as a 10th anniversary track, but it wastes its momentum, every time. I love the build up to the chorus, and then the energy just gets drained out of it to blend back into the verses. 79. Choo Choo Rainbow. Very similar to Ponytail After School, I think Choo Choo Rainbow gets away with the simpler, cutesy approach because it makes an effort to fill out the backing track with more complex instrumentation. And this time I like the Sakura Otome duet over the Otome solo version. 78. Sparkling Declaration. The only thing Sparkling Declaration is missing for me is nostalgia. This is my first time listening to it, and I was pretty surprised by how polished it sounds for a Photokatsu track. I like pop rock as a genre, and the overall song is enjoyable. 77. Glamorous Blue. Same for Glamorous Blue, although it's not pop rock, I was just surprised by how good it sounds. Ichigo and Akari are not a good vocal match for me, so I think if this had other versions it might have gotten higher up on the list. 76. Friend. For Friend, I put the Ichigo and Ron version at the top, followed by the Rin and Madoka version, then the Ichigo and Seira version. This is another nostalgia-based decision. I think the song is a little too juvenile for me, but I do have fond memories of it from the anime. 75. Red Mountain. Red Mountain has no business being as good as it is. I really like the chorus. It would have been higher up if it was just a little more energetic. I think it gets a bit too slow at a few points, but it has a lot of potential. 74. Lovely Party Collection. I have the full cast version of Lovely Party Collection ranked higher than the Luminous version because I like the harmonies better. This isn't a song I would listen to casually, but I do think it serves its purpose as an upbeat theme song well. 73. Sign Go Dream. Including a trance-style song in Soleil's 10th anniversary album feels very random, but I do like it as an exploration of Signalize's more atmospheric sound. I'm rarely relaxed enough to fully zone out to a song like this, but I still like it. 72, Hello New World. For Hello New World, I picked the Madoka solo over the Madoka Akari duet because I love Madoka's voice and I want to hear more of it, which I think carries it through the extremely jazzy style. 71, Pretty Pretty. I find that I have to be in the mood for Pretty Pretty to enjoy it fully, but when I am in the mood for it, it's very cute. I do prefer the full cast version to the Luminous version, but again, that's just for the fuller harmonies. 70, Shining Sky on the G string. I swear there are leftover demo vocals in the background of this track, which creates kind of a creepy, haunted effect, but I otherwise think it's a pretty song. I appreciate the more electronic approach to bright, clear tones rather than more jazz. 69, Lonely Gravity. Lonely Gravity has lovely harmonies. I picked the Mizuki Eureka version, but the Akari Rin version sounded great too. This is about as slow as I'd usually want a non-ballad song to get. It has just enough energy to qualify as a dance track. 68, Prism Spiral. I still think it's confusing for Prism Spiral to start with the lyrics Take Me Higher, since that's the name of a whole other song. But anyway, this is another nostalgia placement. The electronic tracks have aged the best for me, they're very Y2K. 66, Let's Aikatsu. For Let's Aikatsu, I picked the full cast version, then the Luminous version, then Ichigo Akari Mizuki, then the Akari solo. It's another very bright track, but I think they do a good job of varying the pace to make it feel dynamic enough. 65, Rainbow Colored Encore. Rainbow Colored Encore is much more my style of bright upbeat song, and I think that comes down to the tempo. There's a limit to how much energy I can take, clearly, but I really like how bouncy this song is. 64, Growing for a Dream. Speaking of energy, Growing for a Dream really hits you over the head with it. I always have to soften that intro in videos because it's such a jump scare. But it does calm down just enough to be enjoyable. The aggressively electronic production is fun. 63, Kiss of the Alice Blue. I feel bad ranking Naoto's version of Kiss of the Alice Blue above the Madoka Rin version, but I think their vocals couldn't quite hit the power needed for this track. I'd argue that Naoto's don't quite get there either, but it's closer. It is refreshing to get a more polished rock track on the list. 62, Lucky Train. I am finally giving Luminous a win and ranking their Lucky Train version over the others. Next for me is the Nona Lisa version, then the Otome Shion, and Sumire Hinaki last. Luminous's higher vocal ranges are a good fit for the squeakier synths in this song. 61, Aurora Princess. Aurora Princess is the first and therefore lowest of Aikatsu's classical ballads on my list. I love this style a lot, and I find it very soothing. But even in picking the Ichigo Maria duet over the Maria solo, I want just a little bit more to it. More vocal flair maybe, or a more interesting melody. 60, Passion Flower. For Passion Flower, I went with the Juri Sumire duet over the Juri solo. Their voices go really well together. I would have liked to hear more from them. The Spanish-inspired instrument choices are refreshing too. 59, Queen of Thorns. Unfortunately, on her own, I don't always enjoy Sumire's vocals that much. Queen of Thorns is this epic, spooky solo that should be on par with Eternally Flickering Flame, but it sounds a little too thin to me. 58, Magical Time. Magical Time is another silly song, but I like it because the production is really interesting. There are a lot of layers to the backing track that I appreciate. I picked the Ki Otome duet over the Ki solo because I think Otome does too good of a job to get carried away with my Ki bias. 57, New Chocolate Case. Is this song a Kaide Ki duet? I know it's only credited to one singer, but there are definitely multiple characters on it. Regardless, I like the chorus of New Chocolate Case a lot, and it mixes electronic and jazz influences really well. 56, Doot Dua Do It. I think nostalgia is the main reason I can enjoy Doot Dua Do It as much as I do. I love the anime stage for it, and I've heard it so much as a theme song that my peppy jazz version has been weakened. I definitely like the Luminous version more than the Akari U version. 55, Good Day Good Night. Good Day Good Night falls closer to the classic ballad end of the electronic spectrum, which is probably why I like it so much. I find the melody satisfying, and I was really happy to discover it on the Photokatsu album. 54, Sunny Day Little Sunday. Sunny Day Little Sunday is kind of an intense energy switch up, but I like it. It has that classic Soleil celebratory momentum to it. The chorus is generally stronger than the verses for me, which keeps it off of my playlist, but it's still fun. 53. Jewel Star Friendship. Jewel Star Friendship is similar because the verses aren't quite there for me, they sound a bit flat, but the chorus has a great melody. The strong percussion helps keep the energy level up, and the way it drops out at key moments is nice. 52. Stranger Alien. I put the Aoi Key duet version of Stranger Alien higher than the Aoi solo because I want to hear more of Key, and I think that even though this is a simpler song, the novelty of the sci-fi Y2K production makes it more refreshing than the other simple, silly tracks we've heard. 51. Dance in the Rain. Dance in the Rain is another song that sounds like it has demo vocals left on it. Who is the deep voice in the background? It's a little bit creepy, but if I ignore that, it's a cute song. I think it hits the silly yet elegant sweet spot that suits Ichigo's voice well. 50. Happy Crescendo. I'm glad that they combined the Starlight and Dream Academy versions for the official release of Happy Crescendo. I definitely like it better than the Otome solo. I do find the verses just a little boring, but the full cast harmonies are rich enough to make up for it. 49. Miel Mier. Miel Mier gives us a great silly song case study, the importance of electronic production. If it beeps and boops, it's good. If it plinks and plonks, it's bad. That's how I explain my taste so far. 48. Hello Hello. Actually, Hello Hello makes a good expansion of that beep boop logic. It's an extremely bright song with bright vocals on top of it, but the squeakiness of the synths and deeper bass help create a comfortable range for them. 47. Idol Activity. Of all 5 Idol Activity versions, I put the All-Star version with the full cast at the top, since it reminds me of the On Parade version that I love so much. After that is the Soleil version, then Ichigo solo, then Ichigo Akari version, then Akari solo. I think the electric guitar saves this song from sounding overly sweet. 46. Idol Activity Rock Version. Since the rock version of Idol Activity builds on the electric guitar, I like it just a little better. I picked the Ichigo Seira version over the Seira solo since I think the song fits Ichigo the best. Yes, it's a little more intense than the original version, but it's still very cute and upbeat. 45. Move On Now. Move On Now has an impeccably pretty atmosphere. I like the Mizuki and Soleil version because of the extra depth the harmonies get, especially in the backing vocals, but the Mizuki solo is also very nice. And I like the voice manipulation in the bridge a lot. 44. Tutu Ballerina. For Tutu Ballerina, I picked the Dancing Diva version since it was clearly produced to fit their voices. But the Eureka Kaide version was a close second, followed by the Luminous and Sumire solo versions. You can hear the synths get squeaky again to accommodate Sumire's range. 43. Love Like Caramelize. I really like the rhythm of Love Like Caramelize, and I like the depth that Shion's vocals give the song in the Powapuri version. I also like the Miyabi Kokone version, they're almost equivalent to me. The little hint of jazz is just enough to give it the retro feeling it's going for without being too twee. 42. Fashion Check. Fashion Check is a classic, cute, girly Aikatsu track, and I like the way it elevates that youthful concept with a slightly more elegant execution. The way it's not just bouncy, but allowed to sprawl out into lovely harmonies is very pretty. 41. Trap of Love. Speaking of pretty harmonies, Ron's solo version of Trap of Love is gorgeous. It's my favorite for sure, above the Soleil and Juri Madoka versions. It captures both Aikatsu's signature twinkly sounds and a more mature electro-funk direction so beautifully. 40. Angel Snow. Angel Snow is the lowest Aikatsu winter song for me, and I picked the Powapuri version over the Otome solo. Even though it's on my Christmas playlist, I would have liked just a little more sentimentality instead of pure bouncy excitement in the backing track. 39. Poppin' Bubbles. I think Poppin' Bubbles has that extra sentimentality I'm looking for. This is one of the songs where Hinaki's voice really hits for me, since it's allowed to go a little deeper. I actually like the Hinaki Sumire version better than the Passion Jalapeno one, with Kokone's at the bottom for me. 38. My Showtime. The last time I talked about My Showtime, I said that it wasn't very memorable, but I remember it better now. The chorus is still satisfying, and although the verses are a little flat in comparison, I think they balance the chorus well. 37. Goodbye Tears. There aren't many acoustic tracks in the Aikatsu discography, so Goodbye Tears is a nice change of genre. I really enjoyed it in the movie, so even though it's not sung by the main cast, I wanted to give it a good placement. 36. Shining Line. For Shining Line, I've once again gone with the All-Stars version since I like all the different voices. It's an uplifting song, but I find it to be a bit too uniformly cheerful to put it any higher. I have the Starlight version below it, then the Soleil, Soleil plus Akari, and Akari Ichigo Mizuki versions in that order. 35. We Wish You a Merry Christmas Aikatsu version. I can see this song being annoying to a lot of people, but it's a Ron cover of We Wish You a Merry Christmas, and it was made specifically for me, so I like it. Even the cringy rap section sounds better when Ron does it. 34. Sweet Spice. Sweet Spice has great momentum. I love the call and response vibe of the vocal layering. It doesn't quite hit the tonal depth of a truly epic pop rock track, but it gets pretty close. 33. Run Run to Run Run. I'd never heard Run Run to Run Run before, so it being this high up was a surprise. It's more successful at that Disney Channel-esque pop rock sound. The chorus is very catchy. This is the level of moderately intense electric guitar and drums I was raised with. 32. Kira Power. Kira Power always catches me off guard because I tend to underestimate it along with some of the other Season 2 songs. I prefer the Soleil version to the Hikari and Dream Academy versions, but I think the Ichigo Seira version would have been a strong contender too. It's like the ancestor of Bon Bon Voyage to me. 31. Christmas Starlight. I have very fond memories of Christmas Starlight since I listened to it every December without fail. Listening to it now is disappointing since it's not actually Christmas, but I do really love the chorus and its pretty harmonies. 30. Love Game. I already enjoyed Dancing Diva's version of Love Game a lot, so discovering the Aoi Ron version was a wonderful surprise. They're both very close in ranking to me. They both pull off the call and response lyrics well. 29. Cosmic Stranger. The intro for Cosmic Stranger is crazy good, and I like Johnny enough to not be jump scared by his sudden rap sections in the Akari Rin version. The momentum of the melodies and percussion are great, and even the Miyabi Kokone version works pretty well. 28. Summer Colored Butterfly. Speaking of momentum, Summer Colored Butterfly has what I'd call galloping momentum. As a horse girl, I'm susceptible to the specific kind of fast-paced tempo. I really like the slightly Latin inspiration in the instruments too. 27. Happiness on the Same Earth. Happiness on the Same Earth is a song where my ballad bias kicks in. It's too pretty for me to put anything less than technically perfect above it. At least technically perfect by my standards, which are pretty low. I mostly like the vocals here. 26. Blooming Blooming. I've chosen the Akari version of Blooming Blooming over the Sakura version since it's pretty clear that it was produced with Akari in mind. It may be jazz, but the production has so many nice details that I don't mind. It puts in the effort to sound unique. 25. Thrilling Dream. This must be my acceptable jazz tier because Thrilling Dream is similar. Although the main difference here is that it's a Ron song, and I like the deeper tones of the brass and strings. This is the perfect concept for her huskier vocal tone. 24. Hello Winter Love. Hello Winter Love is up here because I really love all three Luminous members' vocals on it. I chose their version over the Luminous plus Jury and Hinaki solo versions because I think they got the balance just right on the Luminous version. And it's another one on my Christmas playlist. 23. Good Morning My Dream. I also picked the Luminous version of Good Morning My Dream. I like the Soleil version a lot too, but I think I'm much more used to the Luminous vocals. Part of the appeal is definitely that I'm picturing the theme song, but the sound effect samples are iconic in their own right. 22. Wake Up My Music. I went with the Masquerade version of Wake Up My Music because it captures the ethereal, nostalgic atmosphere that I love this song for in the first place. The Ichigo Ringo version is next for me, and then the Ichigo Aoi version. The keyboard and string-like synths are my favorite details. 21. Chica Chica. For For Chica Chica, I have the vanilla chili pepper version above the passion jalapeno version, and admittedly a lot of the appeal of this song in the anime came from its performances, but the song still sounds very fresh with its Spanish influences and more acoustic sound. 20 Light Pink Day Tripper. Light Pink Day Tripper was difficult to place since the song does hold up very well on its own for me. I picked the Miyabi Sakura version as my favorite, then the Sakura Shion version close behind, then the Miyabi solo. I love the traditional Japanese influences a lot. They also create a very fresh sound. 19. Eternally Flickering Flame. Eternally Flickering Flame is undeniably iconic, and the Eureka version had to be my top pick. Second for me is the Eureka Seira version, then the Luminous version. With this song, we're finally in genuinely epic territory with really gorgeous vocals. 18. Take Me Higher. Take Me Higher does a fantastic job of maintaining its momentum and building up to support the dramatic chorus. The vocal distortions and harmonies give it a haunting undertone too, which helps it stand out emotionally. 17. Dramatic Girl. This song is so deceptively silly at first, I couldn't remember why I put it up here until it started to lock in before the chorus. Dramatic Girl is a Photokatsu song, so I hadn't heard it before, but it really surprised me with how sophisticated its melodies are. 16. Emerald Magic. Emerald Magic also surprised me because I've always been too distracted by the visuals of its anime performance to listen to it properly. It's actually really pretty, and I ended up preferring the Sumire solo over both the Sumire Akari version and the Miyabi version. I like that it gets a little more classical. That's cool. 15. Kirapata Shining. I've always been open about all of Kirapata Shining's flaws, but the Sora solo version still gives me the early 2000s Hilary Duff energy I crave. I like the Sora, Ran, and Otome Sakura versions too, but Sora leans into the over-the-top attitude of the song the best. 14. Happiness Equation. Happiness Equation is the highest holiday song on my list. I find Akari's vocals in the beginning super pretty, and she sounds great with Monica here. I like that it covers both the sentimental and joyful ends of the Christmas vibe spectrum, and I think it's a little more versatile because of that. 13. Hirari Hitori Kirari. This is the point where we have to stop messing around and acknowledge the heaviest hitters in the Aikatsu discography. Hirari Hitori Kirari might be my favorite ending theme for the visuals, but the song is dynamic on its own. I had to pick the Star Anise version over the Vanilla Chili Pepper version, it's so iconic. 12. Glass Doll. The Eureka solo version of Glass Doll is my top pick for the same reason. It has much more power than the Juri Rin version. This is the original thesis song for Gothic idols in Aikatsu, and it carries a lot more thematic signatures than I think later Gothic theme songs were able to hold on to. 11. Moonlight Destiny. I'm really glad we got the Mizuki solo version of Moonlight Destiny because I love her voice and this is the perfect romantic ballad for it. Last time I talked about it, I was very weak and complained about the 6.5 minute runtime, but this time I actually appreciate it. 10. Melody of Heart. I know I said we were done messing around, but Melody of Heart was made for me, so I have to put it in my top 10. I love the acoustic instrumentation, and the Sakura Maria cover turned out just as beautifully as the Akari version from the anime. 9. Glittering Messenger. Glittering Messenger is the one Aikatsu song I've been able to get my best friend hooked on, so it being a random Photokatsu track is kind of crazy. Its specific electro rock sound is surprisingly hard to find in the series. The melodies and rhythm both stand out to me. 8. Signalize. Signalize is made of pure nostalgia even when it was first released. The Soleil plus Mizuki version is classic, but even the TriStar Powapuri version captures the same ethereal Y2K vibe. It sounds so much more experimental than a huge chunk of the discography. 7. Calendar Girl. I think Calendar Girl helps us understand the jazz obsession of later Aikatsu songs. It's more electro-funk than jazz, but the synths sound like jazzy brass and percussion. I think the electronic sound is way more important for Aikatsu's signature style and is why this song holds up better. 6. Precious. Precious is just gorgeous, and I guess it is literally my favorite ending theme song. I picked the Soleil plus Mizuki version over the Mizuki solo because just like Move On Now, I think Soleil's backing harmonies fit Mizuki's voice super nicely. 5. Stardust Sensation. If we're talking about icons, Akari's solo version of Stardust Sensation is pretty incredible. I think she carries the full song better than the Luminous version because the song was tailored so well to her vocals. Those opening notes trigger a ton of emotion, and the song stays powerful all the way through. 4. My Starway. My Starway is even more of an emotional listen for me, maybe purely because of the context of the movie. But there's this underlying melancholy to it that reflects the reality of growing up and moving on. It's meant to reach a very specific portion of Aikatsu's original fanbase. I think that makes it feel intentional beyond pure entertainment. 3. Ice Forest. Ice Forest feels the same, but is even more powerful to me because it's speaking directly to the bittersweet feeling of entering the adult world, which I think is more aimed at the older audience who can look back and appreciate it more. The harmonies always get me at least a little choked up. 2. Etude of Radiance. I love Etude of Radiance because of its role in the Aikatsu movie, but I can also feel so much love baked into every part of its composition. It's the culmination of the original series' strongest message, that love in all its forms is the most powerful source of motivation. It's the final boss of my favorite ballads. 1. Diamond Happy. Diamond Happy is of course my number 1. I don't think there was ever a single doubt about that. And of course I prefer the Soleil version to the Kaide solo, as exciting as both of them are. The lyrics of this song have played a huge role in my ability to turn my life around and pursue what I love. It will probably always be my favorite. Let me know your favorite songs in the comments below, and look out for my updated idol ranking in a couple of weeks. Bye bye!
I'm freedom!